Mhm. Just doing a little bit of sound check. So just a little bit of sound check. So if you can hear me and you can hear me very well, please can you go ahead and click that you can hear me? Because I'm not using a microphone, but if I need to, then I will, okay? But if you can hear me properly, clearly, just let me know. Click, just type I can hear you in the chat, and then I'll know that you can hear me. Wow. Could we go ahead and yeah, just use the microphone, but I will. Okay? So if you can hear me pretty clearly, so just type I can hear you in the chat, then I'll Okay, so good afternoon or good morning or good evening, depending on where you're joining from any part of the world. And I can see that, you're typing that you can hear me. So I'm going to go ahead with the webinar. So thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about something very, very useful and valuable for those who are thinking of coming to Canada to study together with their family. And this is how we're going to do that. I can add something that you can go ahead for joining us. Studying together with the family. This is how we're give me. Okay, so I'm going to go through the presentation first. And during the presentation, please do not type any questions in the chat because I will not be answering. You will have opportunities to type your questions. Please do not put any inappropriate comments in the chat. And also do not put any links in the chat, okay? So I'll just share my screen, go through the presentation. I'll make it as quickly as possible. And then when we're done, we can come back and start answering questions. I hope that's fine. The chat. And also, I'll just share my. Okay, so today we're talking about step-by-step guide to relocate to Canada with your family using the study route. And my objective for today is that I want to tell you about the study route to Canada, show you the possibility of coming to Canada with your family, what to do to relocate your family to Canada while you are a student. And then we're also going to be looking at the possibilities, pros, cons, tips, strategies. Okay, great. So who am I? My name is Sheyo Bassi. Um, I came to Canada in 2018 as an international student. I studied at Brock University and I actually did an MSc in sustainability. I was a student ambassador, international student ambassador representing Nigeria while I was at Brock. And then in terms of my experience with visa, I was refused Canada visa the first time I applied to study. I also applied to Australia and I was refused as well. And then about a couple of weeks before I went to apply for Canada for the second time, I was refused a US visa. So I understand what it's like to actually go and apply for visa and be refused, okay? And then in addition, I was almost duped by one of these fraudulent agents who told me that they could get me a job in Canada together with my family. Um, And, he had taken some money from me before my eyes finally cleared, okay? And since I came to Canada in 2018, I have been very passionate about helping people to come to Canada. So that's a bit of me and what gives me sort of like a little bit of authority to tell you about this. So what exactly is this study route to Canada? The study route to Canada. So the study route to Canada is the route to become a Canada permanent resident using the study route. So it's actually like a two-in-one package. You Now, so why is Canada a great study destination? Why do people prefer Canada? Because Canada is known for its world-class education, and that's why many people actually prefer Canada to other schools in the UK and in the US and even in Australia. Canada has affordable tuition fees, lower cost of living, and better quality of life than a lot of other countries. There's a higher acceptance rate compared to other global universities. And then it is easier to get a post-graduation work permit in Canada. And then immigration and permanent residence pathways for international students is easier than in the UK, in the US, and in Australia. So these are like two of the very critical things that sets Canada apart from other countries when it comes to study abroad. So why am I recommending the study route? The study route, as far as statistics goes, has the highest admission rate for immigrants into Canada. It does not require IELTS if you come from an English-speaking country for most schools, and there are no age restrictions. So whether you're 18 years old, 40 or 45, there are no age restrictions to studying. And then your family can join you in Canada. Your immediate family, that is your spouse and your children, can join you in Canada. It is a sure route to permanent residence because you're getting Canada education, you're getting work experience, and you can actually do this for yourself without needing an agent. This is something that you can even start right away. So what is involved when it comes to studying in Canada? The first thing is that you choose a school and a program to apply to in Canada. You apply to that university or college, you get an admission offer or a letter of admission, and then you go ahead and apply for study visa. You arrive in Canada to study, you get your study permit at the airport, you go ahead and study, you graduate, and then you apply for permanent residence. In a nutshell, that is what is involved in using the study route in Canada to become a permanent resident. Now, is this something that you can do? The answer is absolutely yes. This is something I did. This is something that a lot of people do. And this is something that you can do as well. So now, one of the things that I have people always asking, especially those who have children, is that can I come with my family? Yeah, a mom, especially, we have a special attachment with our children. Sometimes it's very difficult to be away from your children for an extended time, okay? So, and this is the cross of today's presentation. So can you come with your family And the answer is absolutely yes. IRCC, which is the immigration arm of Canada, says that you can come to study in Canada with your family. That's your spouse and your children only. So not your parents, not your siblings, your spouse and your children. And it doesn't matter what the level of study is. If you're coming to study as an undergrad or as a postgrad, master's, PhD, PhD, diploma, it doesn't matter. You can actually come to study with your family when you're applying for your study visa. Now, the question is, when you come to Canada with your family, your spouse will get a spousal open work permit, which means that they can work full-time anywhere in any province in Canada in order to support you and the family. Your children who are 4 years and below get a visit visa because they are not old enough to go to school, and your children who are 4 years and above get a study permit, and they are able to go to school for free until high school. Now, but is it advisable to apply with your family? The answer is yes and no. Okay? Now, it's yes because you're allowed to come to Canada to study with your family. Number one, it will make you happier. Number two, it will make you more settled and able to concentrate on your studies. Now, but the reason why I said no is because it could throw a negative light on your application, especially if you don't know how to present your application or package your application with your family, okay? Now, how do you get your family visa approved? The truth is that your visa application is determined by three factors. Now, whether you're coming alone or whether you're coming with children, yeah? But since you're coming with your family, you need to really address these three factors. So it's purpose of study or visit, your proof of funds, and then home ties. If you don't address these three factors, it might lead to visa refusal. You will need to justify the importance of having your family members with you while you study. You need to show additional funds for them, and then you need to have other ties to your family. And we're going to be talking about each of these three factors in a bit. Now, proof of study or proof of visits is what you explain in your SOP. That's your statement of purpose. You need to write an SOP or an explanation letter justifies the purpose of your own study and then the importance of having your family with you while you're studying. Now, there are many reasons that you can use for wanting to come with your family. Maybe your children are young, maybe your marriage is young, you've never been apart from your family before. These are some of the reasons, and there are lots more reasons that you can use to justify why you want your family with you. Okay, so Canada is very strong on family unification. If you check the immigration website, they talk a lot about family unification. So this is one thing you can also use in your statement of purpose to explain why you want your family to come with you. Proof of funds. Now, proof of funds is one of the critical reasons why visas are refused, whether you're applying alone or whether you're applying with your family. If you're applying with your family, you must show that you have sufficient funds to support your family, yourself, and the family members that are accompanying you without working in Canada. Now, we know that when you come to Canada, your spouse is going to work. At this point, you need to show the visa officer that you have enough money to cover them, even if you don't get a job, okay? Because it is possible that you might not get a job and then you might get stranded. Yeah? So you need to show enough funds to cover your own tuition and living expenses as students, and then additional funds for the living expenses for those who are accompanying you. If you don't have this, or if you don't show this, your visa might be refused. Because if you were coming alone, then you can get a student accommodation, you can live in one room. But if you're coming with your family, you need to get an apartment, right? So you need to show money. Now, the total funds that you need to show will depend on the number of your family members. So if you're coming to Canada with your family, you as the student need to show $10,000 Canadian proof of funds, okay? Now, if you're adding additional family members for the family member, you're going to have to add $4,000 for living expenses. And for every additional family member, you need to add an additional 3,000 Canadian for their living expenses. For example, if you're coming to Canada with two family members, maybe your spouse and your child, and you want to come to a province other than Quebec for a year, you will need to show living expenses of 10,000 Canadian for yourself as a student, and then living expenses for $4,000 Canadian for the first family member, expenses of 3,000 Canadian for the second family member. So you now need a total of 17,000 Canadian. Now you can see that 10,000 and 17,000, there's a difference of $7,000, which you need to add if you're coming with family. It's so important that you don't miss this. Now, home ties. Home ties is something that will compel you to return home after your studies. Now, it is easier for you to use your family members as part of the home ties. So if I'm a mom, can claim that my children who are back home, I'm definitely going to return to them. I'm not going to stay back in Canada and forget my family. It's the easiest family, it's the easiest home ties to use your family members, okay? If you have a wife or a spouse and children back home, they are your strongest home ties. So if you are applying with your family, which is actually your strongest home ties, it means that you must be ready to show other ties that will compel you to return home, okay? Like your business, if you have investments back home, if you have an employment that is waiting for you when you finish studying, if you have financial assets, landed properties, siblings, family members, there are lots of other things that you can use. These are the things that will compel you to return home. So the three things that you need to show is your home ties, your proof of funds, and your purpose of studies. Purpose of study and purpose of visit. A lot of those who get study visa either with family or without family, it's because of three of these basic reasons. Now, what I would recommend is that you evaluate your situation. You could do an assessment of your situation, your financial situation, your home tie situation, together with your spouse, and then make a personal decision to either apply together with your family members or to apply alone first. Because I get a lot of people asking me, who should I apply? Should I apply with my family? Should I not apply with your family? It's difficult for me to make that decision for you because I don't know what your circumstances are. So you need to do that evaluation based on these three factors. Now, if you apply with your family members and you don't meet all of these, it is possible that a visa officer will deny your family members and approve you. A visa officer may deny all of you, including you and your family members, or the visa officer may just may approve you and deny your family members, like I said before. So that risk is actually there. But if you're able to address three factors, then the risk of being denied becomes even smaller. So when can your family join you? If you decide to apply alone after you've done an evaluation of your circumstances, there's a specific timeline to apply for your family members after you arrive in Canada, okay? So you can submit the applications anytime you have the required documents and funds to apply for them. I have a friend who sent her study permits. Immediately she landed in the airport to her husband and they started applying that same day. Your family needs your study permit and you only get your study permit when you actually arrive in Canada and an immigration officer has done an assessment of your documents and has allowed you to enter into Canada. That is when they issue you your study permit. You can send that back home, start the application for your family members as soon as you have the required documents and the funds. Very important to apply for them. Now, I would recommend that you have at least up to 6 months left on your study permit when you actually apply for your family. Okay, so if you have just 3 months left on your study permit and you're applying for your family members, a visa officer will begin to wonder why you're applying for a study for your family to join you when you have just 3 months or 2 months or 1 month left. Okay, because don't forget that a study permit or a study visa is a temporary. It's a temporary visa, okay? You're not saying that you're coming to live permanently in Canada, even though you can use that to live permanently in Canada. But at the point where you are applying, the visa officer is more concerned about you proving to them that you're going to return home. So when you're filling out or when you're writing out your SOP, you must state it categorically that you're going to return home type of studies. That you want to see that. Whether you intend to return home or not, it doesn't matter. Tell them that you and your family are going to return back home after you've completed your studies. Okay? So make sure you're addressing those three things: home ties, you're addressing your proof of funds, you're addressing your purpose of study, you're putting together a strong statement of purpose, which is where a lot of people fail. I'm going to do a webinar in the future for members of the JAPA system. I'm going to show you how to create a strong statement of purpose that will, show you in a very great light with the visa officer. So how much does it cost to study in Canada? Now, we've already gone through what you need in terms of proof of funds for yourself and your family. Snapshot of how much it costs to study in Canada. School application fees in Canada range from $75 Canadian to about $150 Canadian. Almost all the schools in Canada take an application fee, and it's non-refundable when you apply to them. So you need to prepare for that. Tuition at school fees without funding usually costs from about $12,000 to almost as high as $40,000 per year, depending on your program. Living expenses, like I showed in the slides back, is 10,000 Canadian per year for the prospective students, 4,000 for the first dependents, and 3,000 for every additional dependent. Visa application fees cost $150 Canadian plus $85 for biometrics if you have not done biometrics in Canada in the last 10 years. If you've done biometrics, you don't need to pay for biometrics anymore. You also need to do medical, which is an approximate of like 55,000 Naira. I think at the last time I checked. Airfare varies. Like, I don't know what the airfare is now, but I just put 250,000 Naira there. And then you also need to put money aside for miscellaneous costs, like, I don't know, things, getting your passport, doing police reports and stuff like that. It costs about 100,000 Naira. Okay, so if you want to know how much it might cost to study in Canada, this is how much it's going to cost. But today we're not talking about how to fund your studies, because you can use bursaries, you can use loans, you can use scholarships, you can use your savings, you can use a sponsor, you can use a family member to fund your studies. But that is not the focus of today. But this is how much it costs to study. Now, after you come to Canada, either with yourself alone or with your family, for many international students, studying in Canada is only a route to permanent residence. More than 90% of people who come to Canada to study stay back in Canada to work and to become permanent residents. Now, after you finish studying, you are eligible for a post-graduation work permit if you studied in a DLI, a designated learning institute. You need to make sure that you're studying in a designated learning institute in order for your spouse to be able to work, okay? Using a spousal open work permit. I need to mention that if you don't study at a DLI, your spouse cannot join you under a spousal open work permit. That means they cannot work in Canada, okay? Now, your studies, as long as you studied for a period of at least 8 months, you are eligible to apply for a post-graduation work permit. It allows you to work for any employer in Canada, not only in the province where you schooled, anywhere. So you could have schooled in Ontario and you moved to New Brunswick and work. And then the post-graduation work permit also allows you to start a business in Canada. The length of the post-graduation work permit will depend on the length of your study program. It usually ranges from about 8 months to 3 years. 3 years is the longest you can get for a post-graduation work permit, okay? Now, if you study for 8 months, which is 1 year in Canada, you're likely to get a 1-year post-graduation work permit. If you study for more than 8 months or more than 1 year, maybe you did a 16-month program, an 18-month program, or a 24-month program, you are likely to get a 3 years post-graduation work permit. Now, a visa officer has the discretion to give you a 16-month post-graduation work permit if you have studied for 16 months. There are some people I've seen who have gotten 16 months, and I'm like, I mean, why? So you need to also pray when you're submitting your application to say that you should get a 3-year work permit if you have studied for more than 1 year. Now, you need that period of time to prepare yourself to apply for permanent residence, because it's not automatic. You also have to qualify, you have to do the English test, and you need to apply. There are 3 basic immigration routes available for students. There are a lot of sub-routes under these 3 basic routes. Yeah, so there's the express entry. You can use the federal program, any of the federal programs under the express entry. You can use the the express entry. You can use the Canadian Express class, especially if you have gotten Canadian work experience. You get extra points for your schooling in Canada. You also get extra points for the Canadian work experience. That's why it's usually easier to apply for permanent residence after you've schooled in Canada and when you've gotten Canadian work experience. You can apply for a provincial nominee program in the province in which you went to school, or in province. You're not restricted to the province in which you went to school, okay? A lot of provinces have provincial nominee programs for students, okay? That can just move you from being a student to being a permanent resident. You need to explore all of that. You can apply for the Atlantic Immigration Program. These ones are in the 4 Atlantic provinces. That's New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI, and Newfoundland. Now, those 4 provinces have this AIPP program, which is great for becoming a permanent resident if you have schooled in those provinces. So it is that simple. The way I've explained it, right? It looks simple. So why do so many people struggle with this and still get denied admission? Some people get their admissions and then they have their study visas denied, or some people apply with their family and they get denied several times. Now, there are several reasons why this happens. Number one is the agents that they patronize. Now, some people use agents who basically don't know what they are doing or don't have good intentions for their clients. And then, because they don't pay attention and they don't care about the applications, the people that they actually apply for get denied. Now, if you're using an agent, I don't have anything against using an agent. Please go ahead and use an agent if you need to. But there are some things you need to look out for. I'm going to tell you some red flags to keep in mind when you're using an agent. Number one, the information that they are giving you seems too good to be true. Yeah, you need to know that this is a red flag. Be careful. What they are telling you seems too good to be true. They are guaranteeing that your application will be approved. When it's a red flag, because really nobody can guarantee that your application will be approved. We, the agents, are not the people that are going to actually assess or evaluate your application that we're submitting. So we're only submitting it. An agent who is experienced, who is licensed, knows what to submit. They know how to structure your application for you. They know how to submit an application that will probably not be refused, and their track record with IRCC will also show. Yeah, but nobody can guarantee that your application will be approved. If you've spoken to me before, you know that I do not guarantee application approved, but that doesn't mean that your application will not be approved. So if somebody's telling you, assuring you, please know that it's a red flag. If you have an agent or a consultant that is advising you to lie on your application or provide false information on the application, please be careful. There are some agents who go ahead and put false information on people's application and making them to be able to be banned from Canada. It's a very serious offense. Now, if they're also asking you to sign blank documents, that is a red flag. If you're signing blank documents, you need to know what's going to be written on those documents. Some agents have used fraudulent bank account statements for their clients and has led to refusal. So these are some of the red flags to look out for if you're using an agent. Nothing wrong with using an agent, by the way. Now, the second reason is that people go ahead and do it yourself. Yeah. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing it yourself. I did my application myself. You can do it yourself, but when you're doing it yourself without guidance, you're making it difficult for yourself to get an approval. A lot of people just go on Google, they type how to apply for Canada study visa, or they go on YouTube and type how to apply for Canada study visa. There's lots of wrong information and Google. I've seen some information when I'm searching, I'm like, especially putting this information. I know there are people that are trusting this information, using them to apply, they are getting their visas refused. So if you're doing it yourself, you might get refused because you lack the right information, you lack the right strategies, you lack the right guidance, and you lack mentorship. Now, mentorship is very important. You can do it yourself for sure, but you need to be talking to someone who knows what they are doing, who has been through this process, who can guide you, who can tell you, don't do this or don't do that, or actually do this or do that. You need that, okay? Now, and this is where I come in. And so I came to Canada. I'm telling you, from like second week I came to Canada, I started calling my friends, calling family members, telling them, you know what, this is what I did. You too can do. Speak for free at that time. I'm very passionate about helping people come here because I know the heartache that I went through while trying to come to Canada. Yeah. So I have experience in this. I've been doing this since 2018 when I came to Canada. I have knowledge in this. I have network with immigration consultants. I have a network with IRCC that can help you. And I'm very willing to provide guidance and mentorship. Okay. And so if you want to relocate to Canada using the study route with your family or without your family, then I can help you. And because I want to help as many people as possible, I created a training program. It's a step-by-step guide that takes you by the hand and helps you to come to Canada to study, to apply for your admission, to apply for study visa that will get you into Canada to become a permanent resident. Now, so I went ahead to create a product called No Hassle Niger to Canada JAPA system. Now, many of you here have heard about the Niger to Canada JAPA system. This is the reason why I created it, and this is my mentorship program that can help you to come to Canada to study. What is the Niger to Canada JAPA system? It is a comprehensive step-by-step mentorship training guide that will show you how to become a Canada permanent resident using the study route. We have search and apply tools because I know people struggle with what program should I study. We have simple to use search tools which show you how you can search for scholarships and funding, because a lot of people want scholarship and funding because they probably can't fund their studies. And for those who don't get scholarship and funding, we show you how to get access to long-term international affordable study loans. We also have sample templates that you can just copy and model. You know, I talked about statement of purpose. We have sample statement of purpose. Sometimes you might need to write letters or emails to supervisors. We have all those templates that you can model. And then we have the step-by-step guides to study visa processes, which is where a lot of people get hiccups or where people stumble. We have a step-by-step guide showing you what to include in your application, the documents that you need, how to actually go on portal and create your profile and submit your study visa, okay? We show you strategies on how your family can join you in Canada. I know that those of us who are family people, we're very passionate about having a family with us. We show you how to do that. And we also provide professional services to help you in the admission and visa application process. You also get access to our basic support, mentorship, guidance, and reviews. A lot of people can even probably do this themselves. Just need a little bit of mentorship, a little bit of guidance, help in reviewing your CV, help in reviewing your SOP. We provide all of that in the Niger to Canada JAPA system. Now, it is not a book, because I get a lot of people say, is it a book? It's not a book that will be posted to you or sent to you. It's not a hard copy or a soft copy book. It's actually an online training course, okay? So you get access to it. You are able to log in, study the modules, and then begin to take action. Now, this is a peek into the Niger to Canada JAPA system. We have 10 modules, starting from module 1, where we welcome you to the JAPA system and give you the basics and important information to look out for. Module 2 is how to get a letter of admission and all the tools that you need. Module 3 is resources that you need to get admission in Canada. So search tools, all the statement of purpose, emails, how to get scholarship, samples and things that you can actually model in module 3. So module 3 is probably the longest and the greatest module in this JAPA system. Module 4 is the basics of applying for an undergraduate program. So the JAPA system goes from undergraduate all the way to PhD. It can also help your children who want to come to Canada for high school as well. Module 5 is the study visa application process. Now, how do you apply for visa after you've gotten your letter of admission? That's what Module 5 is for. Module 6 is the family application resources. So how do you add your family to your application? Sample statement of purpose for your family members to apply for visa. Should you apply for them? The pros and cons and all the strategies is in Module 6. Module 7 is that when we start talking about your postgraduate work permit. How do you apply for postgraduate work permit? How do you become a permanent resident after studying in Canada? How do you become a permanent resident if you have studied for 1 year and you have a 1-year post-graduation work permit? We teach all that in Module 7. Module 8 is where you have the bonuses. So we have a few bonuses in Module 8. I'm going to tell you about them. And then after that, we have resources on how to contact me. Module 9 is when we give you a list of all our paid professional services. And in Module 10, we have frequently asked questions. So a lot of the questions that we get asked all the time, we put them in Module 10 and also put the answers there. So you can go that and you'll be surprised that the question that you have in your mind, the answer is already there. Okay, so this is a snapshot of what the Nigeria to Canada JAPA system is and what it provides for you. Trust me, you're just looking at this snapshot, but when you go in there, there's lots of information that you won't get from wasting your time searching on Google or searching on YouTube. So the Nigeria to Canada JAPA system takes the guesswork out of your JAPA plans. Okay, so it eliminates guesswork. You're not thinking, should I or should I not? You're not consulting someone to tell you what the future will be. It takes the guesswork out of it. You get all of my experience, all of my expertise, and it helps you to avoid the cost of error. So you can have cost of errors in terms of time. You're wasting time, and you can't wait for no man, and you're wasting money. Yeah. So if you're making these errors, you're wasting time, you're wasting money. So with the Nigeria to Canada JAPA system, you get to skip all of the bad stuff. Yeah. And then you move on to the good stuff more quickly, and you do that affordably. So this is a system that shows you step by step how to achieve your dream of relocating to Canada with your family in the most no hassle and the most affordable way possible. So the question that some people might be asking, is it worth it? I just do it myself. After I can go to YouTube and Google, like I said. The truth is that you can actually go round and round in circles for months. You can now end up in the same spot and you see that you haven't actually moved forward. There are lots of people on this table right now. First, you can actually try to do it yourself and you end up with several denials, okay? Now, the more denials you have, the more money you've wasted, the more time you've wasted. Denials actually affect your morale. So it makes you sad, it makes you depressed, and it affects your immigration history. Yeah. So it becomes more difficult for you to get a visa the second time or the third time or the fourth time after you've been denied several times. So instead of going through all this, you can invest in mentorship. You can invest in guidance. You can take the guesswork out of your JAPA system. You can know how your family can join you in Canada and how you can become the Canada permanent resident as soon as possible. The choice is actually yours, okay? So you are the one to make that choice. So we're getting a bunch of special bonuses when you get the JAPA system. We have simple letters, SOPs, and templates that you can use. We have easy to use search tools. We have this important checklist that shows you 12 things that you need before you start studying in Canada. I have a lot of people asking, what do I need? How do I start? What are the documents that I need? You have all that in that bonus there. Then we have a bonus that shows you how to get a job and accommodation in Canada. So a lot of people always ask, oh, I've got my visa, where am I going to land? Where am I going to live? How do I get accommodation? How do I get a job? Because you really do want to get a job, so you start earning money, okay? Because you can work as a student, yeah? You can work for 20 hours previously, but the government has said as a student, you can work full-time until December of 2024. So you can come to Canada and be working full-time, 40 hours a week. We also have bonuses that shows you how to finance your study in Canada, how to convert your GPA, list of schools that you can actually apply to. All of this is in the Canada JAPA system. So does it work? Of course it works. This is the system that brought me to Canada. This is my profile at Brock University where I studied, and this is my study permit that I got when I came to Canada. These are testimonials from different people. And if you ask your athletes who invited you, or you go to any of our pages or sales pages, you see a bunch of testimonials. There are so many people who have gotten visas, gotten admissions using the JAPA system. People have used the JAPA system to get visas to the US, to get visas to the UK, just Canada. So it does work. Yeah, I'm not here to tell you whether it works or not, convince you. The JAPA system actually works. Okay, the proof is everywhere. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is me, and the proof is several other people who have actually used the JAPA system. And think about it. A lot of us who have children or have families coming to Canada, we're not coming for ourselves, right? We're coming because of our children. And I love this picture because it's just a reflection of what I see my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren doing for me and my spouse, because we went through the hassle of coming to Canada, and they and their own children can become Canadian citizens, right? So when you come to Canada, for myself, I came for my family, and you are coming for your family or your future children, right? And you want to actually have this and praying for you and saying, I came to Canada because my grandfather came to Canada. I'm a Canadian citizen today because my grandma or grandpa came to Canada. Your children will thank you for your children love Canada. They absolutely love it. So I have to show this picture because it just, it helps you to just visualize, the blessing that you come, the joy you get from your children and grandchildren. You actually become Canadian citizens just because you made the effort, okay? So how can you get the JAPA system, and how much will all this good value cost you? The Nigeria to Canada JAPA system, which is the template, the step-by-step guide, together with all of those bonuses that I showed you, cost only 40,000 naira. It is actually a giveaway. 40,000 naira is what you use to buy probably a couple of good handbags or take your family out to dinner or a meal. So it is actually a giveaway. The value in the JAPA system is close to 500,000 naira, but we're giving it to you at just 40,000. Can you purchase the JAPA system and return it for a refund? The answer is no. The JAPA system will give you a fighting chance to come to Canada as long as you're serious, as long as you meet the requirements and you follow the system. And that is one of the reasons why I go through the trouble of putting out this webinar so that you can have as much information as possible and make an informed decision. So all skills are final. Don't come back and ask for a refund. Be sure that this is actually what you want before you make the purchase. So if you're not serious, if you're not sure, please do not make the purchase. Yeah. JAPA system has helped lots of people. It can help you. Yeah, if you're serious, you follow the system. So you cannot return it for a refund, unfortunately. You know that 1 year will pass, whether you do something or not. Time just goes by. So 1 year from now, you may wish you had started today. If this is something you actually want to do. 1 year from today, if you don't take any action, you would be on the same spot. And just remember that you cannot climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pocket. You actually have to do something. Nothing changes, nothing changes. So if you don't do something to change your situation, it's not by magic, then nothing is going to change your situation. So the question is, how much do you really want it? Not just for yourself, but for your children, for your future children, or for your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So how much do you really want it? Now, you're lucky because we have a Black Friday sale going on from November 25th to November 27th. So today is just perfect for you to get the JAPA system, right? With the Black Friday sale, you're getting the JAPA system for only 34,000. We have a 15% discount going on right now. You can get it today for 24,000. Now, if you're getting the JAPA system with the Black Friday sale, and you're buying it on seller or stake cuts, you will use the discount code BLACK10. Okay, so you need to put the discount code BLACK10 at the checkout for the 15% to apply to your purchase. Okay, now if you're buying on ExpertNet, there is no need to put the discount code. The price is 34,000 on ExpertNet, right? So the JAPA system, which is normally 40,000, is 34,000 today and tomorrow. Our sale ends tomorrow. But I don't like to take a lot of people at a time. and we're taking only a certain number of people for the Black Friday sales, we already almost have all those people. And as soon as we have all the number of people for the sales, we're going to stop the sale. So it's possible that you can come back tomorrow to make the purchase and the sale has ended, and there will be nothing I can do about it. So if this is something that you want to get, this is your opportunity to get it at a 15% discount. I mean, I don't know why you're not already rushing to get it, right? So one other thing I want to say is that the Nigeria to Canada Japan system is an affiliate product. So we have listed them on affiliate platforms and they are being marketed by affiliates. So you can see different people marketing the Nigeria to Canada Japan system. People are not scams, okay? They are affiliates with us. They are authorized to market the product. They are authorized to use my videos. They are authorized to use the brand, okay? The Nigeria to Canada Japan brand. As long as they are not saying that they are sharing your basic, they are partners, they are affiliates, they can sell the Japan system. So currently we have our products on Seller, on Expertnaire, on State and also on Success Digest. Do not pay monies to people's personal accounts. Do not pay on any platform apart from this. And if you're in doubt, please ask questions before you make payments. So do not miss out on this opportunity. I've explained to you how you can come to Canada as a student and use that as a route to permanent residence. Coming to Canada to become a permanent resident through the study route is one of the most used routes for people in Canada. A lot of permanent residents in Canada actually came through study, right? It is fast, it is easy, it is accessible, and you can work. Your children who are 18 years and below can go to school for free up until high school. I don't see why you would want to ignore this. So if you want to take advantage of this, to the person who invited you to show you how you can get your own Japa system, do not miss out on these sales. Don't forget, your access to the Japa system does not expire. So you can buy it now and use it next year. You can buy it now and use it in 2 years' time. You don't have to use it now, but you have to take advantage of the sale so that you can have it now and use it later. If you have a child who is graduating high school next year, who wants to go to high school in Canada next year, you can buy it now and use it then. Don't forget, we have limited number of sales and we are almost running out. Now, please do not use any link on this YouTube channel to purchase. All the links that are on this YouTube channel actually go back to the person that has invited you, ask them to send you a link to purchase. With that link that they've sent to you, you can get access to the Canada Japa system. So you will have all my contact details inside the Japa system. And as soon as you make your purchase, you can reach out directly to me for mentorship. So I want to thank you very much for listening to me. I wish you all the best in your Japa plans, and I will go ahead and answer some questions now. Don't forget that in order for you to add your questions to the chat, you need to subscribe to be able to add a comment. Okay, you need to subscribe to the channel, and then you can add a comment. Please respect the other users. Respect me. Don't use any inappropriate comments, and then we will start taking questions now. Thank you very much. And then I'll start taking questions. Almost got me down. To cut you. Back to the present. My contact when I'm selecting it, in plans. Now, and in order for you to add your questions to the chat, you need to subscribe. Okay, questions. Um, let's see. So the question, I can see one question here is, thank you for the information. Can study loans be assessed by an international student after getting the acceptance to a college or university in Canada? The answer is yes. Yes. International students can get access to loans. What are the provinces which are easy to immigrate through the study route? So I don't like people to actually focus on particular provinces because your goal is actually to come to Canada. So, but there are some provinces, like I mentioned during the presentation, that have easy routes for students to become permanent residents. So all the provinces in the Atlantic region, part of it, there are 4 provinces that you can go and check Google for the provinces in the Atlantic region. All of those provinces have easy route permanent residence for students. Someone with a WIAC result get an admission in Canada, yes. Someone who has WIAC result can get admission in Canada. The sound is out again. So please confirm that I'm surprised that somebody is asking about what is the possibility of relocating with family. That's what this presentation was about. And I already talked about how you can relocate to Canada with your family. Like that's what I talked about all through. Not sure what's happening here. Can you hear me now? I think so. I think we're back. Sorry about that. So sorry about the up and down of the network. So I'm going to be answering some questions. Someone says, I recently heard that proof of funds must be built over time and must not be a short-term deposit. How true is that? Okay, so when it comes to proof of funds about from Canada, you have to have your proof of funds for the last 4 to 6 months. Okay, so you want to avoid just dumping money into your account. It's what they call show money. Yeah, so if a visa officer just sees money dumped into your account, they are not going to believe that that money is going to be available for you. Okay, so you have to have built it over a period of 4 to 6 months, and you actually need to show the source of funds. So you're a business person, you working and all that. You need to show that. Someone says, using Empower loan facilities, how do I get a guarantor from Nigeria? Okay, so if you go to Empower and you're trying to apply for a loan, Empower has the requirements for a guarantor. Okay, so you're asking me how you can get a guarantor. I don't provide guarantor, so it's something that you need to sort out by yourself if you want the loan. Someone says, I've paid, it's been over 24 hours. So this is not the place to talk about if paid is over 24 hours. Just go back to the person that you paid to, and they can help you sort out that. Can my elder brother provide my proof of funds? Yes, your elder brother can provide your proof of funds. I hope you can also prove that he's your brother. And then, of course, he needs to write a sponsorship letter to say why he's sponsoring you, providing proof of funds. How does one pay for the Japa system? So someone invited you to today's webinar. Just send a message to whoever invited you. Just send them a little chat and say, I'm ready to pay for the Japa system. And they are going to send you a link to actually pay for the Japa system. I'm 49, graduated since year 2000 with BA in English, taught in a private school, highly experienced, did a master in linguistics. Can I go ahead and apply? So you can, so long as you're educated, you have at least a high school diploma, and you have a reason to apply to Canada to study, of course, go ahead and apply. You don't need to ask. Can I use a transcript on another school to other schools? I don't understand that question. Can you help with the process of a family of 4? So helping with the process, you have to actually get the Japa system first, and then we can actually look at the profile of a family and see how we can help, okay? I'm also going to be looking at the questions from the beginning. Someone talked about network, sorry about that. And someone says, can children below 18 apply for study visa if the parents are not ready to apply? So of course, anybody can apply for study permits. Your children who are even willing to go to high school. So someone who is like from 13 to 18 and they want to go to high school, they can apply for study permits. Your children who are below 18 can apply for a study permit to come to Canada if the parents are not ready to apply. So you can look for a high school for them apply for them, but they will come to the high school as international students. They will pay fees. They are not coming for free. How many years is post-graduation cost? So post-graduation degrees range from 1 year to 2 years. So there are 1-year programs, there are 2-year programs, okay? How much is 34,000 naira in Ghana cedis? I'm so sorry. I don't know off the top of my head, but when you go and make a payment on seller, I think it will give you the amount in your Ghana cedis. Is study loan available for those going to college? So if you're talking about study loan on international organizations, those international organizations actually have the schools that they support or the schools that they partner with. Yeah, so I cannot say off the top of my head all the schools they partner with. So this is actually a partnership between the organization, the loan organization, and the school, the college, or the university. Yeah, so you need to go and check whether that college is there. Yeah. Living expenses and miscellaneous, are they the same? So, I mean, if you're talking about what I presented, living expenses and miscellaneous are not the same. So living expenses is the amount of money that you use to feed, to rent, to take transportation, all the things that you need to do normally when you're in Canada. So miscellaneous is just something that I put there to cover things like, I don't know, transportation to the airport, when you need to and get your police report, things like that, yeah? So I just think it was just an arbitrary figure. It's not an important classification of funds. If you were to do the process for me, how much would it cost? So if you've gotten the Java system, you can actually reach out to me to ask me that question. Thank you for those who are saying the session was powerful. Thank you. I think so too. So just to confirm, if I'm an HND holder without PGD, can you get admission? Definitely. So if you're a HND holder, OND holder, MC holder, you can actually be able to get admission to study in Canada. Facilities. How do I get? Do you have an HND? Yes, like I said, we provide professional processing as well. But you need to actually get the Java system, and then we can talk about the processing for you after you get the Java system. Just taught me how to use my Java system. I bought can one process the express entry and study route at the same time? So that is a very sensitive question. I know a lot of people ask that question. I also asked it as well when I was coming to study. Now the truth is that Canada actually allows dual purpose or dual intent. So you can actually have an express entry profile as well as trying to come to Canada to study. I've heard some people say it is dangerous, it is risky, because really a visa officer has they have the power to refuse a visa based on that, but they don't have the right. So you actually can have dual intent. Thank you, Patrick. You're saying bless you for the good. Thank you so much. Using Empower Loan Facilities, how do I get a guarantor? So a guarantor is actually somebody who can stand for you. It's actually somebody who can say, this person will pay the loan. If they don't pay the loan, I'm going to pay. So I don't think somebody who is ready to do that for you, somebody who, I don't know, can stand in for you and who actually knows you. So you have to actually go and get a guarantor from your own network. Somebody saying I have the Java system to purchase one. When can we start mentorship? That's a very funny question. As long as you have the Java system, you have already started mentorship. You just need to reach out to us using any of our email addresses or WhatsApp numbers. 40 years old with only NCC result, only SSC result. Yes, you can apply. Can someone with 2-1 go for a postgraduate course? Definitely. So as long as you have a degree or a diploma, you can go for a postgraduate course. Okay? Whether you have a first class or a 2-1, a 2-2, you can actually go for a postgraduate course. How soon can my graduate son start the processing? And what is the shortest time to complete the whole process? So your graduate son can start the processing as soon as they have a transcript and they have their certificate and they have their international passport. These are the three critical things that they need. So as soon as they have all that, You can start. There's no need waiting. Yeah, as soon as you have all the documents that you need. Currently, Canada is accepting they're accepting applications for May 2023 and September 2023. So, I mean, if you have all of this, please try and apply for either May 2023 or September 2023 now, okay? I need to have Intel Me Academy account. So we said don't put personal details. So you have to reach out to Intel Me. Can someone in WIAC get admission? Yes. Does a post-bachelorate course qualify for post-graduation work permits? Now, the thing about post-graduation work permits is that all levels of study, from diploma to PhD, are eligible for post-graduation work permits. The only thing is that you need to be sure that you're going to a DLI. You need to check the DLI and to be sure that the name of your school is on the list. When you come to a private university that is not on a DLI list, you will not be able to get post-graduation work permits. Your spouse cannot work on that spousal work permit. Those are the disadvantages of coming here to study under a school that is not a DLI. Okay, so make sure it's a DLI. How many months can take? Okay, I've talked about that. So what are the chances for a 50-year-old to study and get PR considering age? So when you're 50, I've said it before, you can study. Yeah. We've got people who are 50 and above that have been able to come to Canada to study. I have a personal friend who was over 50, I think she was 52. She is a permanent resident now in Canada. She came to study. Yeah. So long as you have a purpose of study, don't forget I talked about purpose of study. So long as you have a strong purpose of study, you can justify why you're coming to Canada to study. There's no reason why you shouldn't get your study visa approved. There's no reason why a school should not apply you. How can I get a supervisor to help me secure 100% scholarship? So that is one of the things that we teach in the JAPA system. So can I talk about that now? Yeah, you need to actually get the JAPA system and you get all the templates and guidelines on how you can actually get a supervisor that will give you 100% funding. Can I use my 10,000 Canadian dollars to apply for my family after I arrive? I need to add another 10,000. After you arrive in Canada and you're applying for your family, you need to also show your own funds as well as theirs. So you can't come to Canada with $10,000 in your account, and then when you're applying for your family, you're also showing the same $10,000. It's possible that you yourself have also used from that $10,000 and all of it will not be available, okay? So, I mean, try and put things together. I know you want to come to with your family, you want your family to join you, but make sure you put in a strong application so that they are not denied, yeah? Applications sometimes take a little bit longer, and it is sad that after waiting for that period, they get denied and you have to start all over again. Don't forget that time has gone and you might not have as much time on your study permits to apply for them. Do you advise new immigrants to settle in Ontario since it's very expensive? Now, it's not just Ontario that is expensive. BC is expensive, and I heard Quebec is also expensive. So you're looking at several factors, not just whether it's expensive or not. Now, even though Ontario is expensive, it has a lot of opportunities. There are lots more business, work, career opportunities in Canada. So I guess it's in Ontario rather. So I guess it's a personal decision that you have to make. People like Ontario, but if you're someone who has some kind of disadvantage, need to get your PR quickly, then you can try any other region apart from Ontario. So can a relative with permanent residence in Canada sponsor? Yes. If you have a relative who is a permanent resident in Canada, they can sponsor you to come to study, which means they can provide their bank statement, but they cannot sponsor you for permanent residence. The only way that a permanent resident in Canada can help you is that you can add them to your express entry application that you have a permanent residence, and it will give you certain scores. Okay, I think it's 15 points. So they'll give you 15 points, but you have to prove that this person is your cousin or your sibling or your parent or whatever when you actually are putting in your application. I'm so sorry about the network. Someone says I've been trying to apply for September of 2023. What time is it start? What time it closes? So September of 2023 is already open, and I want to believe it's open in most schools. Okay, so most universities will stop September application by January. Some of them by February. Colleges are taking people on the go, so they don't have a closing time. So you can apply to a college and then get your admission letter. But for universities, I think they have a closing time of probably January or February. What is a transcript? It's a funny question. Let's go to Google and type what is a transcript. It is a document that has all the courses that you've done over time in that school and the marks that you got for them. How does one pay for the system? So if you want to pay for the Japa system, kindly reach out to the person who invited you or wherever you saw the link to come to today's webinar. Ask them. They are going to give you the link that you can use to make your purchase. Don't forget that you need to use the discount code BLACK10 if you are purchasing on Seller and on State Court. But if you are purchasing on ExpertNet, there's no need for a discount code. You're going to get the 15% discount. It's for fun for 6 months compulsory for study visa. It's not compulsory, but it will help you to get your application approved. Can an NC holder in Nigeria apply for 2 years PGD or diploma in Canada without necessarily starting afresh? So if you're an NC holder, you cannot apply for a postgraduate certificate. You do not qualify, but you can apply for an advanced diploma or a diploma. Okay. Can this Japa system be passed into someone else or used by my sibling after I succeed? No. The Japa system is a one-person, one-time access, okay? It's for you alone. If we notice that you have given your access to someone else, we're going to revoke your access permanently, yeah? So, I mean, if you're finished using it, then you're finished using it. Your sibling needs to get their own. Someone says, do you have an office in Ghana? I don't have an office in Ghana. I don't have an office anywhere. I have an office in Canada, okay? So we just have virtual offices where we have affiliates and partners like I talked about in the presentation, yeah? But I don't have a physical office in Ghana or anywhere else. Can my course of study be changed from my bachelor's degree? Because I don't understand what that means. Does the 10,000 Canadian dollar living expenses cover accommodation? Yes, it covers accommodation as well. So when applying for my family, after I arrive in Canada, do I need to show another proof of funds? Yes, you need to show an updated proof of funds, yeah, when you're applying for your family. I have 2-1. Can I apply for postgraduate? Yes, you can. You can apply for a postgraduate, you can apply to a university. If you have a 2-1, yeah, you need to actually meet the admission requirements you're applying for. Can I use the transcript I got from my school since 2005? Yes, so transcript is the same, whether you got it in 2005 or you got it in 2022, your transcript is the same. So if you have a transcript that you actually got in 2005, you can still use it today. So it's still valid, doesn't expire. Can I apply for my postgraduate diploma without my passport and transcript? So like I said before, you actually need to have your transcript and your international passport in hand in order to apply. If you apply without them, the school will not process your application. They will just wait for you to update them with those documents. So please wait until you have all those documents before you apply. If someone should do a postgraduate certificate program 2 years in college in Canada, will you be eligible for work permits? I already talked about that. So you are eligible for work permits as long as you have schooled in a DLI. So schooling a DLI is actually key for you. How much is the Japa system? The discounted Black Friday sale. So it's 34,000 Naira. I don't know how much it is in other currencies, but if you go to the affiliate platforms and put the discount code, the price will show up with a 15% discount off for whatever your currency is. So those that don't have 2-1, what are their options? So many. So if you don't have a 2-1, you can actually do a postgraduate certificate, you can do an advanced diploma, you can do a post-bachelorette degree, depending on what your GPA is. So those different programs have different requirements. You need to go and look at the program requirements of the school. So just because you don't have a 2-1 doesn't mean you don't have options. You actually do have a lot of options. How long does it take for proof? Proof of funds is 6 months. I've already talked about that. How many years of study for undergraduates in Canada? So undergraduate in Canada, diploma, you have 2 years. Advanced diploma, you have 3 years. And bachelor's is 4 years. Can a family relative in Canada without a PRS have a job? Provide the proof for sponsorship for me. So if you have a relative in Canada that doesn't have permanent residence, that means they're a temporary resident, yeah? So they're either a student or they have a work permit. I will not recommend that you use them as a sponsor. I would recommend that you use someone who actually has permanent residence in Canada, or use someone who's outside of Canada. Can I use investment statement in place of proof of funds? So an investment statement is a proof of funds, okay? So when you say investment statement, I believe you mean something like mutual funds or something like some kind of mutual funds, yeah, or fixed deposit. So if you have an investment statement, mutual funds, fixed deposit, whatever, you can actually use that as proof of funds. So long as the money is accessible to you, it is proven that the money has been there in your account for at least 4 to 6 months, it works. Can I apply for Canada loan? It's not about loans, so I'm not going to answer the question that had to do with loans. If you have a 2-2, you're asking if you can get admission into an MSc in Canada. So usually the universities in Canada have a requirement of 3 out of 4, which is usually a 2-1, and it's a high 2-1. But of course, you can always reach out to them. They can have additional requirements for you, or you can apply for a pre-master's. So that some schools, especially for management programs, they have a pre-master's if you don't meet up with the requirements of the master's. So you can do that pre-master's. It's just an additional, probably 1 year. After the pre-master's, you can actually start the master's program. That's one option if you don't have a 2-1 and you really want to do a master's in Canada. Excuse me. Does Brock University only look at the last 2 years of study for an undergraduate degree when applying for a master's program? So Brock University, as well as a lot of universities, look at that 2 years, yeah? Brock University does look at the 2 years. So if you were able to get the required GPA in your last 2 years, yes, you do have a good chance. So even if your entire GPA is probably a 2-2, but that was the last 2 years, at 2-1, and you were able to meet the 3 out of 4 GPA, yes, Brock University would consider you. How long does it take to get a response from a supervisor for PhD program after writing the research proposal? So I don't know, like I can't give you a particular time. Some supervisors are very quick to respond, some are slow, yeah? So if you notice that they've not responded to you, what you need to do is just to send a reminder to say, you know what, hey, I sent you my research proposal. I've had a chance to look at it. This is just a gentle reminder, but I cannot tell you how long they are going to take to respond to you, okay? Someone says, what's the age cap for a postgraduate course? There's no age cap. There's no school that has an age cap. And trust me, RCC doesn't have an age cap. So long as you're still working or you're doing business and you have a solid study plan for once to come and study, I don't think there's a problem, okay? Someone says, I don't have anybody in Canada. How do I go about settling down? So, well, I had friends in Canada when I came, but the city that I came to, I didn't know anybody there. So how do you settle down? It's like moving into a new neighborhood. You make all your plans before you come, you get accommodation, and you come and you start knowing the place. It's a gradual process, yeah? It's scary, I know, but trust me, you can do it. You're an adult. 46 years old can apply, yeah? All programs in Canada have said it, whether it's 1 year, whether it's a diploma, whether it's 1.5 years, whether it's 8 months, it's eligible for permanent residence after your work permit. Yeah, as long as you have, it's eligible for post-graduation work permit, as long as you've applied at a DLI. Permanent residence is not automatic, you have to apply for it, okay? So don't just sit down and say, I'm waiting for permanent residence. You have to use any of the routes that I mentioned in my presentation to apply for permanent residence. So a DLI is a designated learning institute. So these are programs that have been designated by Canada. They are probably public universities, a lot of them are public universities, and a few private universities. They are eligible for post-graduation work permits. And with those schools, your spouse can work under a sponsor open work permit if they accompany you to Canada. Can a friend be a sponsor to me? The truth is that anybody can be a sponsor to you, yeah? But then will a visa officer be convinced that your friend actually wants to sponsor you and that those funds will be available to you, yeah? Now, having a friend sponsor you is something that we can talk about after you get the JAPA system. I can put you through how you can actually structure that SOP to make a visa officer believe that those funds will be available to you. The JAPA system is overloaded. Thank you, I know that. Can someone help me get admission for Master of Public Health studying in Canada? Someone. I don't know who someone is. Family member, I think I work in Canada. How can I get how can I get Canada with your help? Why don't you ask them? How can you get Canada with your help? Are they able to help you? Are you applying for permanent residence? Are they willing to sponsor? It's something you have to discuss with your relatives. I wouldn't know. I have a diploma in nursing from the School of Nursing here in Nigeria. Which level of education will I apply for? I guess it's an advanced diploma or another diploma. If you have a diploma, you will not be going for a graduate program, okay? Thanks, Shay, for the wonderful guide. It's awesome. Thank you to requirements for studying postgraduate. I talked about the presentation. Please go back and watch the presentation. I have all the requirements for studying in Canada. I've also mentioned it when I was answering questions. The difference between advanced diploma, and postgraduate certificate. A postgraduate certificate is it's like a graduate program. So you need to have graduated from at least a 4-year program for you to do a graduate certificate. So if you have an HND, that means that you have an OND, so that's a total of 4 years. If you have a bachelor's, that means you've studied for 4 years previously, you can do a graduate certificate. A diploma is like an OND in Nigeria. So you're just starting out of high school. That is a diploma, it's a college program. And that diploma is like a HND in Nigeria. So you need to have actually done an initial postgraduate, post-secondary education like a diploma. Then you can do an advanced diploma, yeah? And you can always go to Google to check. Can banks help you with proof of funds? Yes, I think there's some banks that can help with proof of funds. Of course, I think you need to contact the bank for that. So it's not all universities in Canada that request for a research topic before you actually get a master's program. Now, master's program has research masters, it has course-based master, it has project-based. So it's probably only the research-based master that requires you to contact a supervisor. So don't give yourself headache. You don't have to contact a supervisor for all masters. So for a WIFE holder, your WIFE result is actually your transcript, yeah? You need to provide your WIFE result and your scratch card. You need your transcript to apply for masters. HND cannot apply for masters directly, okay? I've said that over and over again. I'm not going to be answering that question again. Since I already have a Canada visitor visa, all I need is how to get permanent residence. So I'm in Nigeria. So you cannot get permanent residence as a visitor, okay? It's not possible. You get permanent residence if you are a student or you have a work permit, okay? You cannot convert visitor visa to permanent residence. I'm not aware. NECO is not English proficiency. What someone is asking is NECO accepted as English proficiency? No, NECO is NECO. English proficiency is English proficiency. They are different. Can someone use the proof of funds provided by a bank? Yes. Can someone with a master's degree pursue another master's in Canada? Definitely. So when I came to Canada to do my master's, I already had a master's degree from the UK. So I'd already done a master's and I had an MSc in project management. And I was coming to Canada to do a master's in sustainability. So if you have a master's, you can do another master's. You can do a PhD. If you have a PhD, you can actually do another PhD as well. Yeah, so not a problem. There are some supervisors that actually would prefer people who had a previous master's to do another master's, okay? So someone talking about the surname in my NC is different from surname in my passport. So if you are married, your surnames will definitely be different. That is expected. We're women, so when we get married, change our name. So it's not a problem. Just include your marriage certificates. So you must not write IELTS to do a second master's. You can I use pension fund statement as proof of funds? So your pension fund statement is not accessible to you. What you will use as proof of funds are money that you can actually access. So money you can actually use to buy food, pay rent, and all that. Now, pension fund in Nigeria is accessible to you, 25% of it after you haven't worked for 4 months, okay? So you can use 25% of your pension fund as proof of funds as well, and explain to the visa officer that this money will become available to you 4 months after you arrive in Canada, yeah? But the entire amount in your pension fund is not accessible to you, so cannot be used as proof of funds, okay? So in terms of transcript, somebody's asking, is the personal transcript usable? So you can get a student transcript from your school, and then you can upload that when you're applying for admission. Your school does not have to send a transcript directly to the school you're applying for, okay? So if you have a copy of the transcript, you can use that, okay? I have my BSc in Benin Republic with 2-1. Can I apply for master's? Yes. How possible it is to get study visa within 1 month? In France, I think it will be difficult to get study visa within 1 month. So if you go to IRCC website, you will see the processing time. So they have processing time for all countries. And for Nigeria, I think it's currently 15 to 18 weeks or so. So, I mean, 1 month will be difficult. Can I present my husband's documents of investment and properties while applying for study visa for myself? So I mean, if you have a husband, for you and your spouse, you're actually one person. You can use your spouse's statement of account. You can use their properties because they're a spouse. So you just need to write a letter to say, this is my spouse. They have permission to use my bank statement. I'm going to sponsor them. They have permission to use my spouse sponsorship is the easiest. It's not a problem. Okay. Can someone that have BSc? I'm not going to answer this. Is Niagara College a DLI? Well, you shouldn't be asking me this. You should be going to check yourself. But yes, Niagara College is a DLI. And so, I mean, someone posted a list of schools in Canada that do not take application fees. Now, this is some of the information that you see when you go on Google and type list of schools in Canada that do not take application fees. So they actually put the list of all these schools, and it's a lie. I can see Fanshawe College, Lansing College, Cambrian College, all of those schools take application fees. They do not waive application fees, okay? So it's a lie. Yeah, most of the schools in Canada will ask you for application fees. Thank you, Shay. God continue to keep and protect you and your family. Thank you very much. I say amen to that. Diploma in community health. Can I come with my family for higher diploma? I already said that during the presentation. You can come with your family, no matter the level of your studies, okay? Can someone convert his study permit to PR after 1 year since the school is not eligible for post-graduation work permit? So if your school is not eligible for post-graduation work permit, you're not going to get post-graduation work. So after your study, you need to leave Canada or you need to stay in Canada as a visitor. So you need to convert to a visitor record, which means you can't work. You cannot stay in Canada, but you cannot work. You cannot apply for permanent residence if you don't have the Canada work experience. But if you meet any other the requirements for any other permanent residence routes, of course you can apply for permanent residence. Yeah, you do not have to have the post-graduation work permits to apply. But the reason why people want that is so that they can work in Canada, they can be relaxed, and they can have time to actually plan for their permanent residence. If you're having issues opening the Japa payment link, this is not where to ask the question, okay? If you trust the person that invited you and you want to send them money to pay, I do not recommend that, but that's between you and them. Someone is asking any hope on undergraduate student to get admitted. So undergraduate students get admitted all the time. I think they're even easier to admit than graduate students. So if you have someone, you or someone else wants to apply for undergraduate, you don't have a problem. Just go ahead and apply. Someone says, can you help us with your genuine members you're working with? So there are so many people who actually market the Japa system. I cannot give you a list of all of them, but I've told you the platforms, affiliate platforms that we have our product. You need to ensure that wherever I send you a link, it's sending you a link that's connected to one of those platforms. So it's Seller, Expertnaire, Scott, and Success Digest for the Canada Japa system. Those are the four. Yeah, and you need to be sure that they are sending you a link to those. If you're not sure, please reach out to me and first. Okay, can I leverage on a sibling with a PR? Now, the only way you can leverage on a sibling with a PR is that when you're applying for permanent residence and you have a sibling in Canada, you can say yes. That means you get those points for that sibling as long as you can prove that they're your sibling. Number two, your sibling with a PR can actually sponsor you to come study in Canada. So they can provide their bank statement, their PR card, and say that they're sponsoring you. They give a sponsorship letter. Those are the two ways that I know that you can leverage on a sibling. So your sister cannot use your Japa system package. I've said that over and over again. Can't your sister get their own Japa system? It's just like this asking if your sister can use your letter of admission to come to Canada that you have already used. They can't. Everybody needs to have theirs, right? I'm a single mom with 3 children. Can I come with my children? Yes, you can. That's what we talked about during the presentation. Someone says I have HND in banking and finance, but without working experience. Can I apply for PGD in the same course or related courses? Yes. So applying for a graduate certificate, having work experience is advisable, but it's not like a prerequisite. So if you don't work experience, you can still apply for admission. You can still apply for visa. Okay, so it's not like it puts you in a negative light. SOP is the same as a study plan. Someone says, is it mandatory to write your study plan in just one page? I don't know who said you can write your study plan in one page. You can write your study plan in as many pages that you need. So if you need to write your study plan in 8 pages to explain yourself, please do that. I think that my SOP was about 6 pages or so. I even had appendices explaining some of the things that I put in my SOP. It was very detailed. So please be as detailed as you need to be. Explain everything you need to explain for the visa officer to actually understand what your study plan is, okay? Can I apply for a 2-year top-up program in applied management? So I don't know what you mean as Saskatchewan Polytechnic. I don't know if Saskatchewan Polytechnic is a GLI. You have to actually check by yourself. When you say top-up program, I don't know what you mean. But if it's a GLI and it's a program that you qualify for, yes, please, you can apply. Someone is asking if your company account can be used as proof of funds, even if there's not enough funds at the time of the application. You already answered the question now. So if you're applying with an account, there has to be enough funds to support your studies. Someone's asking if a PhD program needs research proposal or supervisor. It is likely that a PhD program would require research proposal and a supervisor because PhD, yeah, you're coming to do research primarily. So yes, you need to have a research proposal and you need to actually get a supervisor. Japa system helps you to search for universities and colleges. It shows you how to choose the best course. So we have a couple of lessons in Module 3 that shows you how to choose a program to study. So which bank in Nigeria can help with proof of funds? I don't know, really. Can I get proof of funding for PhD? Yes, you can. I'm a lawyer in Nigeria. How do I practice as a lawyer in Canada? So to practice as a lawyer in Canada or as a doctor, as a pharmacist, or as a nurse, you actually need to get certified. Okay, so you can just come as a lawyer and then start practicing. Okay, you need to do their own bar exams or certification exams so that you can qualify. Someone says I have HND, PGD, and MPA. What are my chances of getting admission? What are my chances of getting admission? Where is that question now? The chances of getting admission, oh, I can't see, for a master's program. So usually, the truth is that for a master's program, the requirement is usually a 4-year program. So HND doesn't qualify, but you can reach out to the school, tell them what you have, and it's on a case-by-case basis. The school might require some other things from you and give you that master's admission. I can't say, but I know that usually you need to have that 4-year degree, and a HND does not qualify, okay? So if my fund is in Naira, what exchange rate should I use to determine the required proof of funds in Canada? So you're using the bank rate, the CBN bank rate. Please do not use the black market rate because the visa officers are using bank rate. So whenever you're converting your Naira to Canadian dollars, use the bank rate, okay? If you have a diploma in midwifery, you cannot apply for a postgraduate program. You need to have an HND or a bachelor's to do that. So it's actually they can get international loans to cover their own study and living expenses, including their spouse and dependents. Also, you're a family of 5, which means you're a grown man. You should have savings to cover the part of your family. If you are applying for a study loan, you're actually applying for yourself, yeah? The study loan doesn't cover your family, but of course, you can apply for the amount of money that you need that can actually cover your family. But when you're applying for your study visa, you also need to show your own funds. It will be strange and a red flag if you're applying with 5 people, a family of 5, and you cannot show proof of funds. You cannot show some funds. Even if you do have a loan, you should be able to show some funds for yourself, okay? Is it compulsory to present a pay slip when applying for study visa? Yes. I would say it's recommended because it shows your source of funds. So try and get pay slips. It shouldn't be difficult to get pay slips. You can come with your family, whether you're coming for advanced diploma or diploma. Okay. So if you're coming for a master's degree and you already have another master's degree, you actually need to present your bachelor's transcript as well as your master's transcript. Okay. So that's a very familiar territory because I know the master's degree. I presented both my master's transcript and my bachelor's transcript. You can't present only your master's transcript. Your supervisor as well as the admission committee want to see your bachelor's transcript as well, okay? Someone says, I have a transcript addressed to ICANN. You can use it, yes, even if it's addressed to ICANN. So long as it's a transcript, you can use it. If I have the privilege to get a scholarship for a particular program, can I change to another program without scholarship being affected? I think if you're changing your program, you're going to lose your scholarship. Someone who has a BSc can study in a college for sure. I've said that before. Do you help with SOPs? Yes, we do help with SOPs. So one of the services that we give you as a Java client, we do a free review of your SOP. We tell you, parts of your SOP, we tell you what you need to do better. And if you want the paid services, you can also pay for us to like create an SOP from scratch for you, okay? Can I go with my wife and children if I'm giving visa? Your wife and children need their own visa in order for them to come with you. Because a Naira account is appropriate for visa, you don't need a domiciliary account. I used only Naira account. I didn't have any domiciliary, so a Naira account is fine. In leveraging on a permanent resident sibling whose account to be used as proof. So if you're using a permanent resident as a permanent resident sibling, they are just giving you points. You still have to show your for funds, okay? Now, getting an undergraduate mission in Canada, yes, it's easier than getting a master's degree. But if you already have an undergraduate program, please don't go for another undergraduate program because you will have agents who will tell you that you should go for another undergraduate program because it's very easy for them to get that admission for you. But when it comes to getting visa, you are likely to have problems. So please don't do that, okay? You are newly graduated masters and anatomy. What can you do now? When you get the Java system, we can actually talk further about that. Now, some universities allow you to pay tuition before beginning the semester. So for universities, for colleges, you pay tuition at the beginning of every term, okay? So once a term starts, you're required to pay into your student account. So that is how payments are made. Someone is asking, can I go for direct masters? If you came out with a 2-2 and you want to do an MSc in a business administration program, if you have GMAT or GRA, if you have the appropriate work experience, you can reach out to the school. They can give you that admission, or they can put you in a pre-masters for about 1 year, and after that, you can do the direct masters. Someone is asking for my email address. If you want my email address, please get the Java system. All of my contact is there. Email address, my WhatsApp number, my Canada number, everything is inside the Java system. So go get it, and you can contact me by email. So if you're going with your husband, if your husband is sponsoring you, do I need a letter of consent from him? Yes, you do need a letter of consent. So your spouse has to say, I'm aware that my wife is traveling and I support, that's all. I talked about for funds, it has to be in the account for like 4 to 6 months. So someone is saying, can I apply for undergraduate with GC result of 10 years? Different years, can it cover my family also? So for you to apply for undergraduate in Canada, you need NECO or WIC, yeah? So not GCE. So go and take NECO or WIC. Can my fiancé stand as my sponsor? If what proof? Okay, so your fiancé can stand as your sponsor. Asking me what proof? What do you need to show that is your fiancé? I don't know now. You're saying someone is your fiancé. So if you tell me that is your fiancé and ask you, how is this person your fiancé, what would you say? So whatever it is that you will tell me, tell the visa officer. Yeah. I have a theological diploma from Faith Bible School. Can I have scholarship to study computer science? I don't see the relationship between your theology diploma and computer science. Okay, I don't see any relationship there. As a student who has studied for 2 years, is IELTS needed to apply for permanent residence? So if you want to apply for permanent residence in Canada, you need to do the IELTS or the French test or whatever. So you need a language test, basically. If one has a 3rd class in the 1st degree, does it disqualify the person from getting a master's scholarship? So, I mean, admission into Canada schools is very competitive, okay? Extremely competitive these days. So if you have a 3rd class, you are actually at a disadvantage because there are people who have 1st class, 2-1, there are people with strong GPAs. So if you have a 3rd class, you might have to look at other options apart from a master's, okay? So what other documents can my sponsor submit apart from, what other documents for my sponsor submit apart from scholarship letter? So these are some of the things that we teach in Java system. In the Java system in module 5, we have a list of documents that you should submit, list of documents that your sponsor can submit, list of documents that you must have before you submit your visa application. So those are not things that I can actually go into here. Get the Java system, go to module 5, get all that. Can someone who is in the US who is not a relative act as a sponsor? Answer this question severally. Is it necessary to study a course in Canada that relates to the course studied in Nigeria before visa can be approved? Now, before your visa can be approved, you need to have a solid study plan, okay? You need to convince the visa officer of why you're going to study this particular program, how it's going to help your life, how it's going to help your career or business, yeah? So, I mean, it doesn't have to be related. Like, you can do something that's not related if you want, as the visa officer is convinced they are going to issue your visa. There's no age limit to study law in Canada. Can I get scholarship for a course-based master? So I cannot say. So whether you get scholarship or not depends on that program. There are different programs in Canada. There are over 100 universities. So if you get scholarship or not, you have to actually check that school website, their program details to find out whether you can get a scholarship. So having no work experience does not affect your ability to get a visa or to get admission. So someone says, I have an undergraduate certificate, 2nd class lower. I decided to apply for another undergraduate. We need to affect my study visa. So if you listen to me for a bit, you know that I do not recommend that. if you have an undergraduate, why are you going for an undergraduate? The visa does not see a progression. They just see that you are using that as a route to enter Canada. You are likely to have your visa refused. I wanted to get full scholarship. How do I fund my family relocation? So if you are unable to fund your family relocation, then your family should wait until you finish studying, you get a job in Canada, then you can sponsor them, okay? So once you have a job in Canada, you don't need to show proof of funds for your family to join you. Yeah, you just think that you have a job, you show your pay slips, your employment letter, then you don't need to show proof of funds. So if you don't have that money to sponsor your family, then wait until you are able to get a job in Canada. So whether your wife result is 12 years or 15 years, you can use it to apply. So long as you can present that wife result on the scratch card. Yes, you can use NECO. You can use NECO to apply to get admission, definitely. How do I relocate from UK to Canada? The same way, like we had a lot of people who got the JAPA system who are relocating from the UK to Canada, so you can actually come to do a higher degree than the one you went to do in Canada, or a degree at the same level, or you can actually apply for permanent residence or any of the provincial nominee programs, okay? So you can actually come from the UK to Canada. We have 10 minutes more, so I don't want this to go beyond 2 hours. So as soon as it's 10 minutes, we're going to have to end. I think I've answered most of the questions that I've asked. Some questions keep repeating. I'm not going to answer questions that are repeating. So I graduated with a 2-2 about 40 years ago, and I've been self-employed since then. My sole aim to relocate is to relocate to Canada, but I'm choosing study route because it's easier. How do I state my purpose? Your purpose, if you have a business and your business is registered and all, it's actually to improve your business now. Yeah, so your purpose is to come to learn how to take your business global and all that. I have all that in the JAPA system. Yeah, I mean, just because you have a business doesn't mean you can't come to study. You can use that as a rationale to come to study as well. Since students now work 24 hours in Canada, can one use this advantage to fund his tuition fees and living maintenance? The thing is that students can work for up until December of 2024 for now. And yes, you can use it to fund your tuition. The truth is that you're actually a student, yeah. Employers might not want to give you full-time work because you still need to go to school, and your classes can be anytime during the day. They can put your classes at 12 and then another class at 3, and you cannot work in between, right? So don't actually rely on that. Yes, you can work for 24 hours, you can work full-time, but please make sure that you're not abandoning your studies, because you don't want to come and then fail. It's not good at all. So if someone is asking, must you have excellent grades before you can have a scholarship? It's a strange question, because even in Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, or whatever country you are, you know that scholarship is competitive, right? Everybody gets scholarship. It's only those who are competitive, who have good grades, that get scholarships. In Canada, there are even children in high school now who are going to university and colleges. Canada provides scholarship, but they provide scholarship for those who have like high grades. Not everybody that can get scholarship. So someone's asking, is the admission for May still on? Yes, the admission of May for May is still on. The lowest tuition fee for college, I don't know, because I don't know all the colleges. The provinces that guarantee PR, no province guarantees PR. There's no guarantee PR, but you can apply for PR in any province. Which regions in Canada pay high wage rates per hour? So now, when you're talking about high wage rates, Ontario and BC pay high wage rate, but then the cost of living is also higher in these places. In the regions that pay lower wage per hour, their cost of living is lower. So there's that balance in there. You can't say, I just want to come to a region that's paying high wage. You're also going to be paying higher for your groceries, your rent, and all that. Mm-hmm. Can I use a sworn affidavit of marriage in place of marriage certificate? Really, why don't you have a marriage certificate? And like, I don't understand it. When you say a sworn declaration of marriage, I don't think that it's a strong document when it comes to marriage. Go to the court and get a marriage certificate, okay? Do a newspaper change of name. That's sworn affidavit. I don't know, you can use it, but I wouldn't recommend it. So, I mean, if you are a third class holder and you're asking for program that will give you a competitive advantage. And I think that for now, you should be more concerned about how you can actually be able to come to Canada with your third class. Yeah, this is not the thing when you start thinking about competitive advantage, yeah, or comparative advantage. I think something that the Indians do well, better than us. Nigerians were so concerned about, I want to do this particular program. Indians come here to do anything, and they're able to change their programs. They're able to become permanent residents. That's what's important. So you have a third class, you don't have a lot of options, you don't have a lot of choices, yeah? So take what you can get that can actually get into Canada. When you come to Canada, you can change your class. When you get a PR, you can actually do any job you want, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm sure you're a blessing for many generations. Thank you so much. So I can't believe you're asking me, is it advisable to apply alone and apply together with my family? That is what I expected when I was in my presentation. Depends on your particular circumstance, okay? You can apply together with your family if you can fund them. You can use NECO. I don't know what you mean. Someone says, can I use GCE NECO? I don't know if there's anything like GCE NECO. I think there's NECO, and I think there's WIAC. I don't know what, and then there's GCE. I don't think there's GCE NECO. So can someone awaiting results, HND, part-time, apply for degree? If you have a HND, why do you want to apply for a degree program now? If you, I mean, you need to have graduated, you need to have your certificate, you need to have your transcript before you can actually apply to study in Canada. So you need to have all your ducks in row first. Yeah, I know you want to come to Canada. I know you're in a hurry, but you need to calm down. Make sure you have all your documents. If you're in a hurry, you can be blinded. You can make mistakes. Make sure you calm down. You need to have a strategic plan, and that's why we're here. To calm you down and to help you to have a plan. So you need that plan in order for you to be successful in your Nigeria to Canada plans or your Japan plans. Someone is asking, is a marriage certificate from a Catholic church acceptable or must it be a court marriage? Now, when it comes to marriage certificate, the truth is that in Canada, they understand that court marriage, okay? And I know a lot of people have court marriages, then you also go ahead and have the church marriages. Now, if you don't have a court marriage and you have a marriage certificate from like a Catholic church, it's fine. As long as you can also provide a change of name document. So if you did like a change of name, a newspaper, whatever announcement, I didn't do that, but some people did. So if you can get that change of name or you get that declaration that someone was asking about earlier, you add it to your marriage certificate that you got from your church, I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. Someone says, I'm an English graduate. If you're an English graduate, you have a PhD in learning disability, can you go for law in Canada? To be able to answer that question, what is the relationship between law and English that you did or linguistics? I don't see the relationship. Of course, I'm not a lawyer. Even that there's a relationship between the two. Go ahead and upon admission, would I be mandated to pay my full tuition fees or just my first semester? Now, usually colleges will request for the semester payment, not your full tuition fee. Most universities will not ask you to pay anything. They might ask you to pay a bit of money, just keep your seat. But as long as the university or the college has asked you to pay and you want to actually keep that admission, you need to go ahead and make that first semester payment. But I don't think any school will be asking you to go ahead and pay everything at the first time, okay? I did a biometrics 5 months ago. And then you don't have any results. That's strange. I doubt that you'd have done a biometrics and in 5 months' time you don't have any job, and that's strange. What is a rough estimate amount in Naira in a family of 5? So you need to go back and look at the presentation, look at the breakdown that I put there if you're coming with your family, and actually do a conversion to Naira. I'm not going to do that for you. You need to go and do that for yourself, okay? But I've given you all the resources and everything you need to actually do that calculation is in the presentation, okay? Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you for saying thank you too. It's something I love doing and something I want to see everybody be able to achieve their Japan dreams. It's a passion of mine. So thank you for thanking me and thank you for giving me the opportunity to do something that I really love to do. Someone says I'm a 2-2 graduate of history and international relations. Can I switch to do a PhD in healthcare? Somebody wants to do something in healthcare. Do you know the first time I tried to come to Canada, I applied for a healthcare program because my friend told me that healthcare was like hot cake here. I did apply. I didn't have any previous degree or experience in healthcare, and it didn't make any sense. Yeah. So if you want to apply for healthcare management, you need to have that experience or that degree in it. One thing that you can do, you can come to Canada, and when you're in Canada, you can change your program. As long as the school is able to take you and you have admission, you can switch to a healthcare program. Okay? Can a certificate get me PR? Any certificate can get you PR. So your date of birth on your wife is 1980, your passport is 1982. Why do you can't put 1982 on your passport now when your date of birth is 1980? You're the one that's caused problem for yourself. I asked you what I don't know. How do you get an affidavit or something? So does the visa application require original copies of the academic transcript? So for visa applications, it's online. So there's no paper applications for now. So you don't need to go to the embassy with any documents. You're going to have to scan and upload. So if you have the original documents, you scan and upload everything, okay? No need to take any documents to whatever. Someone is saying 10,000 Canadian is roughly 3 million Naira. So 5 million should do for relocation. I don't know. What about your tuition? Have you added that? My question is, must I have GMAT to apply for MBA in a school in Canada? So most schools that offer MBA management programs, they will ask for GMAT or GRE. Some of them will waive it if you have, I don't know, certain work experience. Some of them will not waive it. Yeah, so you need to look at the program requirements of school you're interested in. I can't say that you definitely will need a GMAT or GRE, but for most management programs, it's like there are schools who can take you without GMAT or GRE. Some of them will request you that you have the IELTS. Some of them will have other requirements that will make them to forget about the GMAT or the GRE. Okay. Can I get full scholarship through the JAPA system? So the JAPA system is not a scholarship organization, yeah? But the JAPA system can show you how to get scholarships, where to search for scholarships. So I guess the answer is yes. You can get full scholarship if you qualify for it. So we're not talking about PR application. Will I get points for attaching my job letter to PR application? It depends on the PR application that you're doing. So there are different PR applications if you came to school in Canada. So if you're applying for the Canadian Experience class, then you have to show that you actually have the Canada job and you've had it for 6 months or 1 year, depending on what the requirements are at the time. If I'm working as a nurse in Ghana, how do I go about my funding? The normal way that I've already mentioned before. Somebody's asking about date of birth. I've talked about it. My date of birth on my NECO is 2014. How can that be? And my passport is 2002. When your kids are below age of consent, what is age of consent? Which qualification should use for their visa application? What do you mean by below age of? I don't understand that. Someone's asking about vocational courses. So there are vocational courses in Canada. There are some schools in Canada that are not available for international students. So you have some of these schools, vocational schools, they are not available for international students. So you can't apply to them and use them to get a study visa. They're actually open to permanent residents or citizens of Canada. So if you're coming to Canada to study, actually You have to be applying for an academic program, not a vocational program. So I think we've been here 2 hours now, I think. I've made a presentation, and then I've answered your questions, how you can come to Canada to study, why you need to actually be considering the study route, because study route, it actually has the highest number of people come into Canada, especially those who have been able to become permanent residents. It is a great route. You get to work in Canada. Now you get to work full-time as a student until December of 2024. Before, you could only work for 20 hours. Your spouse can come, your children can come here, and they can go to school for free up until high school. You get medicals for free. Your children get paid after you've been here in 2 months. They get that monthly payment, child benefits. Get a lot of benefits that even permanent residents get. You don't get all the benefits of a permanent residence for sure. And then after you finish studying, you can apply for permanent residence. You don't have to come with your family if it's going to be a problem. You can actually have your family join you later, or you can apply for your family when you finish studying and get a job. At that point, when you get a knock B, a knock A or B job, you don't have to provide funding for your family to join you. Your letter is enough for funds that you're working, and there'll be monies to take care of your family. Okay. Okay, so someone's asking, can my pregnant wife be considered? So pregnancy is not a negative, a red flag when it comes to applying for admission of visa. Nobody's going to refuse you just because you're pregnant. The only thing is that you need to go and do x-ray, you need to do the medicals, and if you're comfortable with doing x-ray with pregnancy, you're good to go. You cannot get here and an immigration officer turns you back because you're pregnant. No. Students do have babies here in Canada, okay? So don't forget that we have Black Friday sale that's going on. You can get the Japan system for only 34,000 for today and tomorrow. We're not extending the sales. We might probably even stop it before it ends because we already have a lot of people, and we want to limit the number of people that are getting the sales, the Black Friday sales. Please make sure that you're hurrying up to get your own copy before we stop it. Reach out to the person that has invited you. Ask them for the link to purchase. Use the discount code BLACK10 and get your Japan system. Someone says, I want to work. If you're asking about express entry, this one is, we're talking about study today, not express entry. You haven't chosen a school transcript. If transcript isn't out, can you go ahead with West? So if you want to study, you don't actually need to do West. There are only very few schools that require West for admission. You don't need West. You just need your transcript, your international passport. You need your certificate, white certificate, and transcript. Okay. So I am very grateful for this opportunity. This is the first time I'm doing a YouTube live. I'm so grateful to God that it went well. Thank you for taking out time out of your busy schedule to join me for 2 hours and minutes or so, 10 hours. I'm very grateful to you. If you've gotten your Java system, congratulations. I see some people in the chat saying they've gotten their Java system. Don't forget to reach out to your friends to also watch this stream. Send it to your friends. Tell them there's a Black Friday sale on. We're not going to do another sale before the end of the year. So this is your opportunity to actually get 6,000 Naira off the price of the Java system. Don't forget that you should reach out to whoever has invited you, ask them for the link to purchase. And if you want to get your Java system, if you want to help us do it for you, if you've been refused before, just reach out to me after you've made the purchase and we can talk about that. So thank you very much. I'm going to end now, and I'm very grateful to all of you. Have a lovely rest of your day. Bye for now. Bye for now. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful. Don't forget that you can share this with your friends. Subscribe on my channel. Make sure you don't forget subscribing. I want everybody that is viewing to subscribe because I always post useful videos and useful information. Thank you very much. Bye.